Hi everyone, I'm Lewis.
I'm Dave.
I'm Scott.
We're here to chat about Dropzone Commander in Battle for Earth.
Yeah.
So Battle for Earth is here. For those that picked up the games experts there, and depending on when you're watching this, you might already have it in your hands right now. Battle for Earth contains, we've talked about some lore, we've talked about some rules for Drop Fleet. I think the big one is rules for Dropzone Commander. It's a full second edition for Dropzone Commander. It's the one that the fans have been waiting for more than anything. We chatted before about how when we're discussing what to put in the book, we're umming and ahhing, should it go first, should it go second, and we thought the best way to do it, to get it out to people as quickly as possible, is to put it in here. I don't think we said before, there will be a smaller version of the rules available in the future, which will be put in a two-player box set. We're not putting a 304 page book in a two-player box set. Yeah, that's quite a lot of shipping costs for anyone buying it. So there will be a cut-down version for those sort of wanting just something to take to the game. But yeah, otherwise this is the first time for fans to get hold of it, and that's why he wants to put it in there, so that people that are waiting on the rules have something to play now.
Yes, exactly.
There's new stuff.
There is a lot of new stuff.
It's kind of a combination of beta testing for the last couple of years. Essentially, we took the original version of the rules, sort of spruced it up, did a few very much needed things for the beta test that we put out last year for free, and then we've been collecting feedback on that for a couple of years, for the last year now. And there are some things that the beta test sort of got very right, and we sort of just took straight through, and there are some things that we saw problems coming back over and over again. There are a lot of things that got plasters put on them, and then got another plaster on top, on top, and it got to the point where it's sort of,
this is probably a good thing to say about New Eyes, because I've been living and breathing this game for nearly a decade now. It will be like this December, it will be 10 years. It's a long time. And you do need new eyes on these things, and no creative project of this scale is any good if one person is doing it on their own. So, I have my ideas about rules, and I had so ingrained in certain places, and then Lewis comes along and is like, oh, why not do it like this? And you're like, oh yeah, why not do it like this? And, there's been a lot of back and forth between us on this, and, it's very much a collaborative effort.
There's definitely been a few times that both of us have said things to the other, and we've gone, no.
It's still very much Dropzone, of course. That's worth saying. It feels like Dropzone. It still is Dropzone. So don't panic on that front.
No, there's a few things. There are a few, and I've said, and we sent it off to a playtest group that, they're in the book. You know who you are. You did a fantastic job. Who have been working on the beta test for a long time, and when we sent this version off to them, I sent things saying, you're not going to be surprised. You might be freaked out for a second, but you're not going to be surprised. And lo and behold, I don't think anyone will be surprised at the things that have been changed. Probably more surprised at the way that they've been changed. Particularly some of the long-term, long in the tooth players for Dropzone. But everything in there, you'll go, I can see that. And we had a lot of people at Games Expo last weekend. They'd say, so what's changed? And I say, okay, I'll run you through. And they say, have you changed close quarters? Yes, we have.
Yes, we have.
Oh, okay. We have changed close. There's some things that you will know. Those
CQB is probably the number one biggest change to the shape of the game.
So CQB before used to be, it was simultaneous combat at the same time.
And out of sequence. The out of sequence was the big one, really. If you're demoing to people frankly, I've demoed this game to God knows how many people for so many years, and every time it's always like, okay, CQB, I have to take you out of the flow now and tell you how this works, and it's, don't worry, you can't do anything with them yet, you've got to wait. Now it's all done basically with shooting, it's wrapped in with shooting, so it's live when you activate. This unit is activated, it's going to do its pain now. And then,
I think it was sort of pulled from the fact that in Dropzone and in Drop Fleet, the battle group activation, the alternate battle group activation, is such a strong mechanic. It's I activate, you activate battle group, and you can determine what you want in your battle group in your armor selection. And to have to bring out of that to do one of probably the most exciting parts of the game, it sort of felt very strange to sort of take away that core mechanic.
And it's something that say you've got a nice car and you've spent ages polishing it, and you've been tweaking all the curves, and then somebody comes along and says, "Why not have 6 wheels?"
Yeah.
You go, "Oh yeah." It's kind of like that, because I've always been working on the basis that it was going to be done out of sequence. Like, I mean, we even played around with a CQB phase at one point, which was immediately like, no, nobody liked that. So that didn't last. That died in like the 1.0 of the beta like 2 years ago, and never got revisited really.
Yeah.
You know, this is much more like Dropzone in that it's fast paced, it's back and forth, it's alternate activation, it fits the game very nicely.
Now, we're not going to pretend that it's not going to mess with how you play the game.
Oh, of course, yeah. So, you know, it won't be exactly the same as what you're used to. It's a new edition, and that's, you know, any game that does a new edition worth its salt is going to shake up how you play.
I think the mechanics of it will become very familiar very quickly, but the ramifications it has on exactly how you, even down to army composition level, it's going to really shake things up. I mean, you have to play in a different way. It's more like we definitely found, Scott, we played it quite a lot, and it was very reactionary sort of tactics. It's act and react rather than going, while they're in CQB, I may as well do something else. It was they're in CQB, I've got to activate them now and do what I need to do, like either attack, get the objective, or run out before they get a chance to attack.
Because if you activate first, you'll obviously reduce their numbers. Then they're going to hurt you a little bit less when they hit you back, and so on. You know, but you get to search if you activate first as well. So there's a lot of things there. There is advantages to being in the building first. You get to search straight away.
I remember when we brought it to you first of all, you said, well, if it's like that, then surely the first person into a building is always going to be on a disadvantage. And we found that it was actually quite the opposite, because the first person into the building gets the chance to search first.
Which is the key thing.
And it also, it's sort of, they act as bait more than anything to bring the enemy in. So the enemy, if you're in a garrison and your opponent comes in after you, they get the chance to attack on the way in. Which, you know, it's cool and cinematic being able to breach the building and go in, but it's not actually that effective, and it's never really a good place to be.
No. I don't think I've ever killed more than a single base.
No, not
just
even
charging
on the turn you go in. You re-roll your successes effectively, so it's not.
It
not
seems
great.
Extremely dangerous to start with, but it's really not, and it ends up that chances are you're not going to get to activate again until your opponent does. And it then means there's more reaction to be able to send more troops in there to back up. We found that we were using a lot more exotic troops now. A lot more exotic infantry, which was really cool.
Probably a little bit more infantry in general.
Yeah, we found there are a couple of, maybe one more squad or two, which actually comes onto transport rules really.
It does, yes.
So you've got more chances to put those sort of small squads in.
So your core transport rules, you know, the shared transport pool was a big thing for the beta, and that's still in here. It's been refined and polished a bit more, and it works a bit smoother than it used to. You don't have to take 4 transports anymore.
That's a big change,
So they have to be at least half full, and if it takes 3 bases, that means it has to take at least 2. But that means you can have an APC with 2 bases in. Also, APCs now move full move when they deploy, which actually makes them very useful and quite quick. Very quick, actually.
Well, we also have for APCs, they can scan the building as well, which
was from the beta, which was really popular.
Yeah, which is great, because it gives them something to do.
The APCs are in the starter set, they're core models, but you know, it was one of those things in the original game, they were like, right, these are lovely, woo! Buy some light drop ships. And you don't want that from anything you've done.
I think a lot of it was because you had to take a full APC and another full APC inside a dropship.
6 bases of infantry. It's all your eggs in one big, heavy, expensive basket.
But now you can say, okay, well, I don't have that many points left over in my army list. I'll just take 2 bases of infantry and one thing, and then sort of sets up.
Exactly. So you've got that. The scenery rules they're actually almost the same rules.
They're basically the same thing.
Completely repackaged.
Yeah, we sort of did it. We call it a toolbox of scenery. Don't we? Because like Scott, you've been designing scenery for Dropzone for a long, long time now. And like one of the things we really love about Dropzone is that it can take place anywhere. Like there's so much variation on the Cradle Worlds, and so many people's scenery collections are completely different. Like if you want to use TT combat scenery, that's fantastic. I
encourage
fully
that.
recommend that. But if you want to make your own scenery or use different sort of places and like different sort of scenery pieces, then that's great. But in the original version, it was very like specific as to how scenery acted. In this, you have a toolbox of sort of, there's about a dozen rules, which are all things that will be completely familiar. But you can assign the rules to whichever scenery piece you want at the start of the game. We have a list of features, exact same as in the first edition, that this is, if you're playing in a competitive setting or if you're doing a pickup game, then you have a table to refer to. But if you're building up your scenery collection, you can say, you know, this is a solid piece of scenery, or this is impassable, this is a force field that's impassable, and it gives soft cover but doesn't give body cover, things like that.
All these things are all there. You know, you can have a big building that's flammable, and all be made of wood. You know, or you can
that can be very flammable. Get some flame weapons.
Or you can have you can have a sodden forest that isn't flammable. You know, you have a lot more choice now. And one thing I've always wanted to see people do more of is play more varied boards. The rules have always been there, but they've never really been that friendly for getting you into doing that. So, you know, you see a drop zone board and it's all buildings, and that's great and cool, and one of the best ways to play drop zone, but I would like to see more variation, and hopefully this will bring that in.
In the beta test, it was bringing in forests.
Which were a separate
forests. It was a separate sort of thing. They acted very similar ways. We thought, that's great, like, we love forests, but what about like rocky formations, and what about all these other things as well?
It all goes in, you know, it's a forest, it's a piece of scenery that doesn't block line of sight quite as much, that is flammable, that has more DP, and voila, forest. But it's basically the same as the beta. You can make all the scenery that you've been playing in the beta if you've been playing it with the new rules. It's just much cleaner and shorter. With less kind of forest and buildings and this. I mean,
there are a lot of paragraphs in there that says when you enter a building or a forest, and when you do this in a building or a forest.
A lot of these things, now it's a piece of scenery.
It's just if you go in a garrison, anything can be a garrison if you want it to be.
There's I mean, God, there's so many individual small things that there's too many to talk about in a short video. I mean, there's a lot of polish with individual special weapon rules. Certain ones where I had, say, 3 rules doing 3 different things, and now they're all kind of mulched into one solution.
Devastator's a really good example for that. Devastator and Demolisher essentially did the same thing, but one targeted buildings and one targeted everything else, essentially. So now with Devastator you have the same sort of value system, the same sort of multiply system for damage, but it only affects whatever the keyword is in brackets. And that can be vehicles, it can be behemoths or like large things, buildings.
It actually gives you a lot more future proofing. You'll notice a ton of future proofing in here. Stuff that we're not necessarily using much of yet, but will be in future.
I think we took that from the Drop Fleet rulebook, because the Drop Fleet rulebook does have a lot of that. It's things that in the core rules, maybe there's a couple of rules in there that didn't get used at all. We know where they're going to be.
There's a lot of that kind of thing, and you'll see that in there. And there's you know, there's a ton of little improvements all over the place that really just make for a better experience.
There's also one really big thing in there.
literally really big thing, Behemoth. So I've done a separate video on Behemoth, which is just me on my own.
So we won't go too much into it.
So this is more like, so what they are, if you haven't seen that video, is the biggest models that we've ever made. They are enormous. The heavy Behemoths are about this kind of big, between 250 and 350 grams of resin goodness.
I think one of the things, it's safe to say that they're probably the biggest drop zone models we're ever going to make.
I really can't see us doing anything bigger.
We're not going the way of massive things fighting and then infantry aren't very useful again. We're not doing that.
I mean, they're big models, but they're not unreasonably big. In the current market, they're large, but they're not like, oh my god, I'm going to have to get a backpack for that thing. They're not that extreme.
The PHR one we've been taking to events for a couple of times now, and it fits in one layer of foam. You take nice and easy. Take all the legs
pinned
off.
legs, and however you want to do it. But so these things have been in my head since the very, 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 very beginning, like right at the start, because I've always loved big vehicles. You know, obviously I'm a lover of vehicles and spaceships because I've done a vehicle and spaceship game, so that is my thing, and why wouldn't I like these things? But they've required a lot of resource to produce. Like, you know, TT has given me a huge amount of time. And
I think it's probably one of the things that you came to first of all when you said, okay, next edition, I want to do things.
I want to do these. It was one of those like, right, this is my opportunity to do something that I've wanted to do for years. It's still drop zone, so this is one thing, don't worry about how they affect. They will affect the game. Don't
expect to have a 600 odd point model on there that doesn't affect the game.
I think there's more drop zone than some of the other units as well, because you drop them directly onto the zone.
They are drop zone.
So they come down by they can either walk on, which is the boring approach. You get an extra turn.
Not that we're encouraging people to play in a different way.
You get an extra turn shooting as a reward for doing that. And a just reliable here I am. But you can also come down by a drop harness, which takes 2 activations for an infantry squad to cool it down. Or 2 actions. So they do it in one activation, so they can't do anything else. They can't fight, they can't search, they have to cool down a Behemoth. That behemoth then comes down nearby them by a drop harness, which is basically a detachable jump pack, as it were.
It sort of gets shot out of the strike area.
Yeah, and it comes, it free falls, it arrests the descent, it lands, then the drop harness goes back up.
Yeah, I think one of the pictures in the rulebook is the PHR
there is a
one
piece of
descending
artwork.
by drop harness.
Because the PHR one was actually, this is part of my design, it all folds up, so it can be like its own drop pod, effectively, with these things.
Yeah.
And then it comes down. That means you've got a behemoth in your face more than halfway up the board on the second turn.
I mean, it does also land on things. Like it arrests its descent, but not completely.
Yeah, if it lands on scenery, it can hurt itself by doing that. So
that's true. It can. So we've got a rule that you sort of, when you land anything underneath within a certain area of the behemoth, takes quite high damage.
Yes.
But if there's anything left over, the behemoth is going to take a fair amount of damage on the way down. If you've
return,
got AA weapons as well within range, they can sort of pot shot at the behemoth. It doesn't count as reaction value.
From the underside while it's vulnerable. Yeah, exactly.
And it can take a fair amount of damage before it lands if you land it in the wrong place.
Yeah.
As I found out.
You can't be completely blasé with these things.
Yeah.
And it won't be shooting until turn 3 because it can't do anything else on the turn it comes down.
Yeah.
But
I think one of the games that we played, my behemoth, I played a UCM one, didn't I?
Yeah.
And it landed on its railgun. It just snapped. Oh no.
Yeah. So that's actually another thing that you can blow off weapons.
Yeah. It's almost like targeting 3 distinct units, isn't it? We split them down into hull, legs, and weapons, which is something that you're keen on from the very start. Is being able to target sort of a Battletech kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah. They're so large.
Individual things.
They need to degrade rather than just die.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of.
So you can target one of the 3 zones. To destroy the behemoth in total, you've got to destroy 2 of the 3. But in the middle of that, you have damage thresholds that you meet, so you can get crippling results on different sectors of them. And by and large, it tends to be, if you hit the hull, it reduces its armour. If you hit the legs, it reduces its move. And if you hit the weapons, you blow off the weapons one at a time. But each of the different behemoths for different factions, there are, I think, 10 overall.
20.
20 because the light ones. Yeah,
there's a light and heavy.
But each of them has a different number of damage points in their damage thresholds, and they have different results for each one. So you have things like the UCM one, for example, has, I think at the moment in the sort of playtest we're on, it has 4 thresholds in its armour, which blow off 1 or 2 points of armour each time. So once you've destroyed all the armour, you can easily hurt it with AA weapons, even that. But the PHR one, because it's massively armoured, you're sort of representing how PHR build their things, it's only got 2 damage thresholds. So you've got to do quite a lot of damage to be able to
before you
the armor.
flip over.
And then you've even got the Scourge one with all its tentacles. If you blow the legs off that, it's got a lot of them. So it doesn't reduce its move a lot, but it does reduce the amount it can grab you with those tentacles.
And out of all these, there's only 1 biped. Actually,
that's true.
Heavy, so they're all the designs vary
got a lot of
hugely as far as the different shapes and things go. Because this is something we spent a lot of time on. It's like, right, what should this one be?
They all need to look differently. They all need to act differently.
They're not all like giant killer robot kind of thing. The UCM is the most classic. It's also the biggest and the heaviest. Not the tallest. The Shoutari one's the tallest. It'd be about this big if you build it.
I mean, the UCM one can be quite tall. It can be very short.
Because the legs extend. They're all interfolding legs, which is very UCM.
I mean, it was based off the sort of armatures of the Sabre tanks, wasn't it?
It's that writ large pretty much. That's the idea with it. And you've got lights as well, and those there's background for all of these in the book, so you get to find out what they all are. There's artwork for some of the lights and all the heavies, so you get to see them in there. We'll obviously be talking more about these when they come out.
At time of recording, we don't have any on sale yet. We're taking our time to make sure the models are good, the rules are good, to make sure they're all really, really high quality.
And they're not a small undertaking.
No, they're not.
It's more like it's almost like half a faction's worth of components in like one behemoth. So
depending on
right now.
At time of recording, they're not available. Depending on when you watch the video, they might be, but we'll be rolling them out faction by faction. Until everyone's got lots of toys to play with.
Exactly. They're not. Last quick mention is they're not the only new units for Dropzone.
They're not.
There are over 20 new other units as well, plus new things. Actually, while I've been here in Cornwall, I've got my next 6 months cadding down now, to the day. So I know exactly what I'm doing, and it's a lot. So yes, there's an absolute ton in this book.
So much.
There is a lot more planned, and it's not all about behemoths. But they are obviously super important and awesome, and I really hope you enjoy them because they've been 6 months work.
Been your entire life for quite a long time.
Yes, computer melting work as well. But it's been good. I'm really proud of them, and I hope people enjoy them.
Yeah. I think the whole new edition is going to be really exciting. It definitely shakes things up a little bit. It's going to be. We sort of wanted to make everyone to be able to learn again how to play.
Yes.
And I think that's a good place. And it's an easy way it's an easy rule set to get people into the game. So if you've been out at your game club and you've had people going, I'll wait, or there's a few things there I don't like. I think all of those sort of niggles have been sort of tidied up a lot.
Yeah.
Nice. To be honest, I'd better go because I've got a plane to catch.
Yeah, sure, you've got a plane to catch. So you've got a dungeon to get.
Yeah, I've got a dungeon to get back
to. So I think we'll call it a day for there. Dave, thanks for coming down and chatting to us.
Thanks for having you.
If you're interested in Dropzone Commander, there's more information coming on TT Community. The new Battle for Earth is out very, very soon, June the 14th. You can pre-order today. Be in the store soon. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you soon.